When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of ShopPay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
Hey, everybody. You can help us make Chris DeMakes a podcast even better by telling us a little bit about yourself. Go to surveymonkey.com/r/JDZ3HL7 for a quick listener survey. It only takes a couple minutes and it helps support our team. To show our appreciation, we're giving away 2 $50 gift cards to lucky participants every single month. Head to, go ahead and grab a pen, surveymonkey.com/r/JDZ3HL7 now for your chance to win.
Honey came in and she got me red-handed, creepy with the girl next door. Picture this.
Hey everybody, Chris DeMakes a podcast producer Chris Fafalius here. It's Throwback Thursday again, and this week we're throwing it back to May of 2024 when Jacoby Shaddix of Papa Roach sat in to discuss the writing and recording of Last Resort. The song was released in March of 2000, but it hit its Hot 100 peak of 57 on December 2nd of that same year. So I wanted to give you all some context of what was going on around that time before we jump into the episode. The #1 song in the US at that moment was Creed's With Arms Wide Open. But some other popular songs at that moment were Most Girls by Pink, Kryptonite by Three Doors Down, Independent Women from Destiny's Child, She Bangs from Ricky Martin, Music from Madonna, Faded from Soul Decision, Vertical Horizon's You're a God, and Shaggy's It Wasn't Me. Blink-182 had just released their live album, The Mark, Tom, and Travis Show, and the Beatles 1 compilation had also just been released. Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas was tops at the box office around this time, but some other movies you could have went and seen when Last Resort was at its peak include Charlie's Angels, Unbreakable, Rugrats in Paris, Meet the Parents, Little Nicky, What Women Want, Castaway, Miss Congeniality, and Dude, Where's My Car? Okay, so maybe that set the scene a little bit for this episode. I hope so, anyway. So from May 6th, 2024, here's episode 205 of Chris DeMakes a Podcast. Jacoby Shaddix discusses Papa Roach's Last Resort.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding.
Hey gang, today's guest is Jacoby Shaddix, lead vocalist for the Vacaville, California rock band Papa Roach. Together we break down the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the band's breakout mega hit single, Last Resort, taken from their major label debut album, Infest, released in the spring of 2000. The guitar riff in Last Resort may just be the defining riff of the 2000s, beyond catchy, an instant earworm. The story of this song is amazing, as Jacoby opens up about the lyrical inspiration, saying that it was about a dear friend who went off the deep end, providing Jacoby with some truly heavy subject matter. He recalls showing the lyrics to the band, and they were blown away with what he came up with. The production on this song is amazing too. Almost a quarter century after its release, Last Resort sounds like a truck coming at you full speed ahead. Producer Jay Baumgartner kept the production fairly streamlined. There wasn't a lot of overdubs and studio trickery happening, but what was laid to tape is heavy, catchy, and most importantly, moving. And this song continues to move people, recently amassing its 1 billionth Spotify play. No, you didn't hear that wrong. 1 billionth. So for all this and the Fugees and Iron Maiden's respective worlds colliding, don't touch that dial.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast.
Jacoby, my man, how are we?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing, Chris? Things good?
I'm doing good. I don't think my listeners quite realize how hard I have to go after guests sometimes, and not because of any other reason than, I told you before we started rolling, you're a busy guy, and I'm glad my friends are busy. If we weren't busy, that means we weren't still doing it. But I saw you last summer at the Greenfield Festival 2023.
That's right.
And and that's when we started trying to put this together. So thanks for finally sitting in.
Oh, absolutely, man. And first off, bro, you're having a good hair day, man. It's looking nice.
Thank you. Maybe this is the clip Chris will put up. See, and I usually wear a hat, but I was telling Jacoby, the first thing he said to me, he comes cruising up on his bike, and I'm like, "Hey, man!" And he said, "You're having a good hair day." And so I had to put my spikes up today. But
there we are.
I got to tell you, we recently had Paige Hamilton from Helmet on.
Oh, sick.
We broke down Unsung, and I told him, I said, buddy, if there is a quintessential rock riff for the 90s, it's Unsung. I mean, it's just brutal. It's just one of the best riffs. And I'm going to tell you the same thing about Last Resort. The guitar riff in this song, it's the quintessential 2000s. If you ask me, that decade, what riff? And I remember the first time that I heard this riff, Jacoby, and I was like, man, it made me happy because late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of what was being called nu metal, alternative rock, okay, there was no solos. There was no guitar parts. I'm like, okay, these guys listen to Maiden and Priest. I can hear it.
Dude, so thank you so much for shouting us out like that, man. And definitely grateful to have a song like Last Resort in our arsenal. We were just talking about it last night about, just the arc of our career and what we've been through. And it's like, we've always got that classic to like rely on, And yeah, man, it's the story behind this thing. It's like, it's pretty wild how that riff in particular was born. I'm going to trip you out, right? So back in 2000, we were listening heavily to the Fugees at that time. And Tobin was always into playing their songs on piano. And so I walked in on Tobin one day and he was playing the piano and just vibing. And he was like, and I was like, what is that? That's freaking cool. Like, that's a vibe. And he kept playing it. And we were like fooling around with like the bass chords underneath it, trying to find what this could be. And then after he had wrote that riff, I was like, dude, let's see what it sounds like on guitar, And so we brought it in the rehearsal space, started playing it on guitar, and we were like, all of a sudden it sounds like this metal thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's trippy because people, like you said, people are like, oh, you guys must have listened, like big fans of Maiden or Judas Priest. And it wasn't until after we kept getting, people were like, dude, that's like Maiden. And we're like, huh? I swear to God, right? And so then afterwards, I'm like going and we're doing shows with Maiden. I'm like, oh, that's Maiden as fuck. Like, of course. But it started like the beginning of that riff, it started on piano. So it wasn't even like in the same world. And so, yeah, man, like kind of to dispel the myth of that. And but I could see why people totally were like, that's Maiden. Because when you put that shit on guitar, it's like, and they're like, no, it's this. I'm like, oh, man, well, fuck, man, it's been done a million times, dude.
Well, it had been a decade or so at that point, 8 to 10 years since you heard something like that on radio, and it was around that time. It was like, I remember Lit and Buck Cherry and some of these things. I'm like, okay, now I'm hearing a little rock again. And that was refreshing to me. I was an 80s guy. And just, first time I heard the riff, like I said, there's something here. And I remember you guys went out on the Warped Tour that summer in 2000. And I came out to hang out with Suicide Machines, and Jay was just like, my new favorite band, man. And Jay was just like, you got, and I went and saw you guys live. You absolutely killed it out there. And this song, for the listeners, you guys have had some massive hits. And I know about your career really post this when Howard Benson took over, who produced a bunch of Less Than Jake records. Okay. Yep. Getting Away with Murder, Scars, I mean, these are massive songs, but like this tune, Last Resort, there's something really, I know you know this, something really special. When we played at Greenfield Festival, I sat there, I went in front of house, I wanted to see this. And your show's massive, man. You guys got the pyro going. It's a big rock show. It's a lot of fun. And I saw 30,000, 40,000 people lose their mind when you went into that vocal at the top of this. And I mean, I got goosebumps thinking about it. It was so cool.
Yeah, man, it's one of those songs that every time we rip on stage, it just goes off. It goes bananas. Somebody was my friend Josh was asking us the other day, he's like, dude, do you guys ever get tired of playing that? And I'm like, no, never. Like anytime we rip that, first off, I'm like, I'm so proud of it. And it's one of those songs that just stands the test of time. I could be in the middle of an airport and sing that out and somebody would be like, this is my life. You know what I'm saying? Like hit me back with it, you know? And it's
Have you ever done that?
No, but I probably will at some point for social media or something like that. You know, be in a Walmart and grab the mic.
I might do it next week when I'm in the airport.
See what happens.
I'll give you a test run. But I mean, I'm careful when I say this because sometimes I think my listeners think I'm being self-deprecating. You know, my band never had a radio hit. It doesn't make us, not validate us or make us any less or whatever. But, to have a hit and then to have hits, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, you know how many bands are out there. You know how we're all fighting for that piece of the pie, and there's only so much of it to go around. And I ask people this that are on the show, and I probably know the answer, but did you ever think, I mean, you guys had recorded this from what I understand, had a demo of it, and then you had a debut record, Old Friends from Young Years, that came out in 97, released a couple of EPs after that, and then you did a demo, from what I understand, for Warner Brothers. They gave you some money to work with Jay Baumgartner, and I actually heard that demo of Last Resort. It's interesting. It's verbatim the same song, the same lyrics.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have the same energy. It doesn't have the same. It's amazing what you were able to capture a little bit later.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my eye bleeding. This is my last resort.
Do you remember playing that song? Were you playing that out live, and maybe that's what gave you the confidence when you went to re-record it to have what it became?
Yeah, so we were, I'll kind of give you a little bit of prior history to it. So we brought this thing into the garage, right? And the riff was going down. Our manager, he heard that riff, the band jamming. He's like, you guys need to do that. Like and the lyrics for the song were actually lyrics that were on a different piece of music that we wrote. And for some reason, I was like, what if this melody and these lyrics go over this riff that the band has written? And in practice, I just went into it, and it just, everybody lit up. We're like, oh, that's something special, So those like serendipitous moments of creativity that just come out of nowhere. And then we were off to the races, right? And then we started playing this thing at all of our shows. And it was funny, man. People would be at our shows as, this is us as an independent band, no record deal. And we'd play it in our show, and people would be like, play that one again. Like, and this is like, we're in like these little small divey clubs and, garage parties and like, basement shows and that kind of stuff, right? Those were the things we were doing. And sometimes we find ourselves playing that song twice, right? We're like, all right, like later we'd be like, all right, we'll play it again. And I think really shedding wood like that really helped us develop the energy of the song, the personality of it, the dynamic, the performance. And so, when we went to finally go into the studio with Jay Baumgartner with the demo deal with Warner Brothers, we went in and recorded it. And then when we got dropped, well, not even dropped by Warner Brothers, but they passed on us. The A&R had gotten fired in the process, and Warner Brothers was like, oh, we're going to pass. And I remember getting that phone call, and I remember I was sitting in our van on a hill. We were sitting at a light on a hillside, and we were talking about this moment where we're not getting the deal. Like, it was like, we were all sitting in the van, and we're just like, oh, feeling defeated. And we're like, you know what? Like, we're just going to release it. Let's just go re-record it, because we couldn't release the version that we recorded for the demo. We were like, our plan was to go with Jay Baumgartner, release it, and just see what happens. So we go in and we're recutting this, and this guy, Ron Handler from DreamWorks, hears that we're at the studio, cutting tracks. And so he just came down. He's like pulled up on the studio and wanted to hear some of the music, and we played it for him. And there was some magic in that performance and in that recording of that song that just, it grabbed him. And I mean, the rest is history from there. You know, it blows me away.
I mean, again, just because a song is amazing. I mean, how many records do you have in your collection that just didn't sell any copies but have amazing songs on them? We all do, right? And it's just like the stars, all these things have to align. You can be a good looking guy. You can be the best flashy guitar player, but all these things have to happen. And I got to hand it to DreamWorks, man. You guys got to push. I mean, they heard this song. They said, we got something here. And I mean, they worked you guys, and it was incredible.
Right. So we got this deal with DreamWorks, and we were just like so pumped, right? Look, we're going to get in our van. We had this van. We called it Moby Dick. Big old white 15-passenger van. You know, we're just gonna go tour the world, and we're gonna go just see where this thing goes. So we start touring, come back. There's a radio convention in San Francisco at this place called Maritime Hall. We had played there a few times over. One time with Bad Brains came around, and they came around as Soul Brains because they couldn't tour underneath the name Bad Brains for a while.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we opened up for them a couple times at this place. And we're like, oh, this big night. It's a radio convention. All the people from the business are in town. And I remember our label, we made all these like do not disturb signs for all the hotels in the area. And we had our street team go and bust every hotel with these little like doorknob things that were promoting our show and promoting the single and the record. And this place was sold out, packed. The radio industry was in the house. And in NorCal, right? This is San Francisco. This is our backyard, essentially. In front of the industry, just ripped this show, and it was like it was a pivotal moment for us to prove ourselves to the industry because, we were just like some kids playing music in these small clubs, and from that moment, the industry took notice to what we were doing because they saw our fan base that we had built independently. And the next moment, our song's getting played on the radio. I'm, starting to hear our song. Now we're on Warped Tour, which was like blowing my mind because I love punk music. I grew up listening to punk music. So Warped Tour was like the thing, that was the place to be. And we made it there. And I was doing What I Like About You with Suicide Machines.
Yeah.
And I remember just getting up on stage with those guys and doing that on that tour, and then having the beer bong Olympics and partying with the flogging Molly boys, and that was just like that summer was the summer of like, we went from the third stage on Warped Tour, just the smallest one, to then we were like main stage playing with, Green Day's lighting their drum set on fire, and we're getting ready to go on the stage right next to them. And I'm just like, is this real life? Like, is this really happening?
Well, and what does that do to a kid? I mean, geez, 4 or 5 months prior to that, the album was released, and then you're out there, and I know where this song was on modern rock radio back then. This song was #1, peaked in August of 2000, so that's right in the wheelhouse of where Warped Tour was, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Well, I want to jump into this bad boy right now. It's 3 minutes and 19 seconds. The intro is just you, my friend.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. This is my last resort.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. This is my last resort.
So I was 18 at the time, 19 at the time, and I had moved in. I was living with some friends, got evicted from this apartment because my friend was stealing our money and not paying. We were giving him the money and he wasn't paying the rent, so we got evicted and I had to find a place to stay. So I hit up my friend Mark, started living with him, and at this time I was getting a little loose, experimenting with psychedelics and kind of getting a little out there, partying with the boys. And one night we took some LSD, and my very good friend at the time had a horrific trip, and
Ooh.
it broke something inside of him. And for probably about the next week, he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't eating, and he went into this downward spiral where then it went into a suicide attempt, multiple suicide attempts. And I'm living in this house with my friend, and it was just a terrifying time as a young man to watch like one of my best friends just devolve into a suicidal mess. And thank God he didn't succeed, and he got help. But the song was born from that, right? This experience from me watching my best friend go through this horrific downward spiral right in front of my eyes, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help, or and I was like trying to get hold of his dad, like, how can we help him? I don't, and it was fucked. And so I was telling my friend about this story a couple of years later, and he was like, man, why don't you just write a song about that, man? Like, because I was kind of writing about nonsense for a while. And my friend encouraged me. He's like, dude, you need to start like talking about like this, because it was almost like these therapy sessions with me and my buddy, where we were just laying it all out, And so I wrote about this, but I wrote about it in a first person perspective, right? And it wasn't until years later that, I had my own struggle, right? But this song at that point in time was about one of my best friends attempting suicide. And the song was like a cry for help.
Did you bring the lyric to the band, or was there music written for this?
I brought the lyrics, and then these lyrics were actually on a different musical bed that we had written. And then the band, we wrote this new riff, right? The Last Resort riff, and had this groove going. And I put those lyrics on top of that one. And then that's when the magic was born. And I don't even know where the idea came from about starting the song with the lyric, just right off the rip. I don't know whose idea that was, but it just somehow that came together, and just not a lot of songs that just start with vocal.
No, and you want to talk about, it was the greatest thing for what was happening at rock radio at the time then. It just comes on. They might introduce the band, they might not. It just that comes on and you immediately know it. It's that identifiable. It just rams you in the eye.
It rams you in the eye. Straight up, man. And that's, ever since, honestly, every time like I said earlier, every time we play that, every time we perform it, it's one of those tracks that just sets the crowd off, period, hands down, since day one. As an independent band, as a signed band on top of the world, to be in a band that was like, kind of fighting back from the lull of a career. It's just something that we've always been able to lean into. And a message of, although it's a cry for help, there's hope in this, right? These people, because I've met thousands upon thousands of people as I've toured through the last 20 plus years. They're telling us this song, spoke to them in their darkest hour. This song saved their life. Your music is, it's like when you hear that over and over, it adds another layer of like gratitude that I have for this piece of music that we created, because music can serve a lot of different purposes, right? It can serve this, all right, we can just rock out to a song. And then there's these deeper levels of music that speak to us. And it's one of those songs that you can not only just rock out to it in a mosh pit at the Warped Tour, sweating and partying with the homies, or it can be one of those songs where you put on headphones and you're in that dark space and it's like, it's something you can identify with. Or it can be a song that, speaks to you in that moment where you're on the edge and maybe it inspires you, and those are the layers to this song that it's just a gift that keeps on giving. And then Ronnie Radke did a reimagination of it. It's
awesome. His version is so rad. That piano version that Ronnie did is,
yes.
I got chills thinking about it. Just, it's so good. For all the listeners out there, take a listen. I'm sure Chris will throw in a snippet of that right now.
'Cause I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. Losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me
Man, this intro and this song, I always get the guitar out and I'll go through. I like to, see if there's any tricks, any weird chords, or arrangement changes in the song. And there's a lot of musicality within Papa Roach, especially on your later material. You guys really branched out. There's a simplicity here of this song. And I think the lyric, there's something universal. This is my last resort. It could be about divorce, death. It could be you lost your dog, all these different emotions. Who can't get behind that? It sounds like there's a double vocal going on in this song. Did you double track the vocals?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I do in a lot of my vocals that I'm cutting. Doubling myself is always something that I've done, and it's just somehow it just helps it jump off the track a bit more. But like you said, there is a raw quality to this. It's guitar, bass, drums, and vocals, and a message.
Well, and I'll tell you, it's pretty sparse. And we're gonna peel it back here in a moment. But what I feel like, and I'll talk about it here, it's in the notes somewhere. I really feel like the band, especially in the verses, they let you do your thing. It's almost like a rap delivery of what you were giving. That's where it was coming from. And the band was almost like a loop underneath. There's not a lot going on in these verses. We'll get there in a second. And that's really cool to see. If there was a bunch of different leads and stuff, that's going to take away from what you're doing. I got to ask, this is right on the cusp. Was this Pro Tools or you guys go to tape?
We went to tape and then dumped into Pro Tools.
Okay, so you dumped to edit probably later.
Even on the edits, because we've gone back and because we did like a re-record of it, and we were like, that song on Infest, it's tempo mapped. And so you try to put it to a click and it don't fit to a click.
Yeah.
We like to do that. Tempo mapping stuff. I like to make things feel, different. Sometimes we'll slump into a part and it's just like 2 BPM slower and it just fits in the pocket a little bit better.
Yeah, I've talked about that a couple times on here. And for everyone listening, what Jacoby's talking about is, the chorus sometimes has to be pushed a little faster than the verses. So you're going to put that metronome, that click track up to get the intensity up. And other times just you put the click track on and for 3 minutes, that's the song. But other times you have to kind of finesse it. And I'm usually wrong with that, Jacoby. I'll give it to my bass player. He's like, why is that part slower? It sounds weird, So sometimes you can't be too highbrow about it. When the band kicks in here, it's drums, bass, and stereo guitars. There's a super heavy chop going on here, I call it, with this groove. It's staccato. It's heavy. And then after you say cut my arm bleeding, there's 8 bars of the same groove, but the stereo guitars now go to the lick. Okay. The big stereos aren't there doing rhythms. I noticed it was just bass that's happening there. And that is so cool. And the bass tone here is ripping.
Yeah. Tobin, when we first got in the studio back in 2000, like professionally, it's like we're trying to just get the dopest tones. It's like Jerry was recording on Marshall with a JMP1. I remember that's what he was using. And then also, it starts with an F. It's like a smaller company. I forgot the name of the company. But yeah, just straight best tones we could possibly get. Tobin's playing through Ampeg, playing Lakeland basses. He's always played Lakeland basses, loves that tone. He's tried to play tons of different basses throughout his career, but it's like something about the way, because he plays with his fingers. He's not a pick guy.
Yeah.
And so he plays with his fingers, and it's just, there's something in that tone with the Ampeg, the 810 ripping. Actually, he also used a B15 for the bass guitar on the recording of this song as well.
Jacoby, we're going back 25 years here. I am so impressed for the singer's recall of the guitarist gear. This is unheard of, dude. Nobody knows.
Well, it's like after we did that, people would talk to us about those tones. They're like, dude, what are those tones? What are you guys playing with? So I heard my guys time and time again, oh, that's the JMP1. That's like, and people were telling us, like, we were trying to model those sounds after y'all did your record. They were like, we were trying to achieve some of those tones ourselves. And that was like, wow, really? That's fucking cool. Like, we came through there with something that was sounding like just in your face and fresh. And like, that's right on, boys. Good work,
I still think it sounds that way. 24 years removed, man. This thing sounds awesome. The production is great.
And part of my interest and knowledge, of that kind of stuff is like, I'm the singer back in the day that was like loading the bass cab in the back of the van because Tobin was drinking 40s with the homies. I was, what I'm saying? We practiced at my house. I had, I'd go in and at the end of the night and we'd go home and unload. It'd be like me and Jerry, my guitar player, unloading the stuff. I was never like the white glove singer guy. And and just loving that, being in the trenches of the music with the boys and watching them dial in their tones. And I just have such this, like, I'm a fan of the guys in my band in a weird way. You know what I mean?
And that's awesome because you've had pretty much the same band the whole time. I mean, and your drummer, Tony, who I knew back from when he was playing in 10-foot pole and pulley back in the day.
Yep.
Tony's a great friend, a great drummer, and he's been with you since 2007. So I love bands that are able to keep it together. It's something very special about that. Halfway through that 8-bar groove there in the intro, we get "This Is My Last Resort." You say that hook again, then we get into verse 1.
Cut my life into pieces. I reach my last resort, suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. Do you even care if I die bleeding? Would it be wrong, would it be right? Ever took my life tonight? Chances are that I might. Mutilation out of sight, and I'm contemplating suicide.
Cut my life into pieces. I've reached my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. Do I even care if I die bleeding? Would it be wrong? Would it be right? If I took my life tonight? Chances are that I might. Mutilation out of sight. And I'm contemplating suicide.
Man, that's heavy when you read it. How do I put the most just raw desperation together in words and tell that story of my friend, you know? And it's heavy, right? Cut my life into pieces. That's just like, I'm done. It's over. I can't handle this. I need to like dissect all these issues inside. Can I even deal with what I'm finding within myself? You know, the phrase last resort, it's like I'm at the end of my rope, right? Any way that you could hurt yourself, cutting, suffocation, you know, I just use those to paint this picture of just somebody at the end of their rope.
It's interesting because that lyric, again, cut my life into pieces. You know, this is my last resort. You were coming from a certain place of pain with that lyric. And somebody else is able, that's the universal beauty of music. Somebody else is able to pick that up, like I said a second ago, and they're able to run with it. Now it's about them. Now they're owning it. And that's a very, I'll use the term again, it's a very universal understood lyric.
It's trippy too, man, because as I reflect upon just that lyric, right, cut my life into pieces, you know, and as I've grown as a man and stuff like that, like I've had to do that, like dissect myself, my problems, my issues, and cut out some of those things that were destroying me in a weird way, you know? And so it's like, and that's like a continual refining process, I think, for me. And I think in a weird way, it's like, it's desperate, but it's hopeful in a weird sense.
Tear my heart open, I sew myself shut.
Hey everybody, we got a lot more with Jacoby Shaddix coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Go further with the American Express Business Gold Card. Earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels when you book through AmexTravel.com. Whether your destination is a business conference or a client meeting, your purchases will help you earn more points for future trips. Experience more on your travels with Amex Business Gold. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
K-pop Demon Hunters, Haja Boys breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
This NBA playoffs with FanDuel, you're not just watching the playoffs, you're a part of them.
Steve's got the phone, opens FanDuel, and he's going for threes.
Be a part of the action on FanDuel. All customers get a profit boost every NBA playoff game day. 21 plus and present in select states. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
One Hit Thunder is a podcast where we both celebrate and have a good laugh about bands and artists that had just one hit that we all know. Each week, we're joined by a guest from the world of music or comedy to learn more than you ever thought you would about some songs that you can't forget. And we decide if they brought the One Hit Thunder or were nothing more than a one-hit blunder. Look, if you listen to the show, you're probably going to laugh, and I guarantee you're going to crush next time the bar has music trivia. Tag Team, Jane Child, Meredith Brooks, Looking Glass, Sean Mullins, Eiffel 65, EMF, Crash Test Dummies, Crazy Town, Chumbawamba. We have hundreds of episodes in our back catalog and a new episode each week, so pass the Dutchie, make sure you're connected, and subscribe to One Hit Thunder wherever you get your pods. And now, back to the show.
I was going to ask you, you know, it's funny, and I've talked to a number of lyricists and artists that they realize after the fact, it might be 3 months, it might be 3 years, it might be 30 years, that it was more autobiographical than they think. There was a lot of this that was about you too. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm saying that could be the case too here. You know, it came from a place of pain, but it turned into your pain too.
Yeah, it's trippy how this song works. My band is named after my grandfather, Howard William Roach. And we call the band Papa Roach because that's what I call my grandpa, Papa Roach. We were coming up with odd band names, right? I'm like, name it after my grandpa, dude. Let's go. Step grandpa too, man. He didn't have to love me, but he did, man. He was awesome.
That's awesome. That's great. That's
but you know, in just a tragic turn of events, he took his life. My grandpa died by suicide. And that was like,
gosh, I'm sorry.
Whoa, that was a heavy moment. And then 2011, 2012, I had my own battles. I had struggled with substance abuse issues for some years and kept trying to control my drinking and my life. And everything was out of control. I was just spiraling, and my family was falling apart. I was going to get a divorce. I was kicked out of my house. I was living in my younger brother's at his house in a little room in the corner of the house, you know, and just kind of like my life was depleted. I was fucked. And I had my own battles, and it was like this weird just this, like, I didn't write the song about me, but why is this song about me right now? I go and tour, and it was just like,
man, that is heavy.
But for the grace of God, I did not attempt that. And I'm, it's like now I'm like, I put the bottle down. I got my life right. Like I cleared out a lot of wreckage. But it's trippy how music works. And through that process of having my own battle with suicidal ideation, I found the power of how music can be transformational, because I was so broken and so desperate. And the only time that I had peace at this moment in my life, this is like 2012, is when I'm creating music and when I'm writing music. And so this story that people kept telling me about how your music saved my life. That song, Last Resort, saved my life. And now I'm understanding how the power of music can save a life, because it was saving my life at that point in time,
Yeah.
And it's crazy how these stories come back at you and you reflect on your own life, So yeah, man, it's like, I didn't know the true element of the song and know it until I walked through it my own damn self,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They always say, I mean, I've had many people in my life, when you're going through a tragedy, write your thoughts down, get it out.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I always, and I never really understood that. And what it does is it's cathartic in a way. And that's what we do as songwriters. And you don't even realize it sometimes when you're doing it, and you look back at the lyric and go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That was that was during the period when I was going through this.
Yep.
Lots of cool stuff in verse 1. Drums, bass, stereo guitars, and the panned riff going on, pan left and right. The groove continues, but the intensity of the whole band drops here. The stereo guitar riff is panned super hard left and right now. Before it was a little bit more centered. To make room, I said this earlier, I think all of this kind of was designed to make room for what you were doing. The band just kind of is sitting back here. They're doing the same repetitive groove, kind of like a loop, and you're just going for it in this verse. It's great.
Yeah, I think that's born from our love for hip hop music. We were at the time listening to Nas, Illmatic, tons of Wu-Tang, Dr. Dre, and just really heavily influenced by hip hop music and the loop element of it. And our bass player is always a fan of less is more. It's like the less notes he could play, he's like, I'm cool laying, I want that pocket. I want that groove. And for us, that's born from our love of hip hop music, and also loving Rage Against the Machine, where it's just about that pocket and that groove. And sometimes just letting the music take a backseat for the vocal to then just be the feature. And there's a certain amount of like musical humility in doing that. But I think that's like, we've always loved that little extra level of whatever we can bring as to the musicianship of our craft. And, my guys are sticklers, and they're always, trying to do something, take it to the next level. And that was our best attempt at that time to like make tasteful music that was inventive and trailblazing.
I also got to tell you, a lot of bands that were coming out around this time, I feel that at least the vocalists, a lot of them were one-trick ponies, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, some of them could just scream, or they had a certain style, and that was their thing. But man, you really learned how to sing. And part of me learning how to sing over the years was working with producers like Howard. It's like, okay, you're not getting away with anything on this record, so now I have to up my game. But kudos to you, man, for really stepping it up. You weren't a one-trick pony. I mean, I've heard you sing Scars and some of these songs that are, they're real singing, and this is also real rapping, real delivery here that I couldn't do. I don't. You talked about some of the influences. I don't necessarily come from that place, and that's what's so fascinating to me about talking to other songwriters is, what was inspiring to you for this part may not have been inspiring to somebody else. And it's really amazing how that happens. Chorus 1 comes right off of verse 1. Drums, bass, and stereo guitars are all in. The guitars and bass are no longer playing those staccato rhythms of the verses. It's a full-on downstroke assault. Again, I wrote the bass tone is just thunderous here.
'Cause I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. Losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine.
because I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. I'm fine. The guitars go to this octave part, and that's another hook in this song. It's a super simple thing, but those octaves there, and at first I thought it was an overdub, but it's the stereos doing it. Doing the whole guitar riff. So when you go to play it live, that's why, you guys have some extra instrumentation now, but even back in the day when I saw you, it was just a 4-piece. You didn't need to fill that sound, but that's how you recorded it. And I really think that that's cool as well. The last half of the chorus is losing my sight, losing my mind, wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. And then we get into a 4-bar full band reintro to set up for verse 2.
Till it was too late, and I was empty within. Hungry, feeding on chaos and living in sin. Downward spiral, where do I begin? It all started when I lost my mother. No love for myself and no love for another. Searching to find a love upon a higher level. Finding nothing but questions and devils.
I never realized I was spread too thin till it was too late and I was empty within. Hungry, feeding on chaos and living in sin. Downward spiral, where do I begin? It all started when I lost my mother. No love for myself and no love for another. Searching to find a love upon a higher level. Finding nothing but questions and devils. Are these all your words? Did the band help you? Like, did you come in and did you change stuff around? Did Jay Baumgartner have suggestions? Because, this is a pretty well thought out lyric for a young person.
Yeah, dude. So that lyric straight, that's one of those things I just came in and laid it down, and the band was just like, yes. Like, it's just like I was struck, man. It was like, there was a creativity that was there, just a magic in this song, honestly. And not all my lyrics really cut through like that. I'll be real. Like, and sometimes I think it's just because of this moment that I witnessed in my life that was just, it struck me, man. And I had to get it out. You were talking earlier about through these traumatic moments, writing them out, in this moment, talking about this second verse here, my friend, his mom wasn't part of his life. He lost his mother. And so watching my friend go through this struggle, it was just heavy, man. And sometimes I'm a very empathetic person. And so it's like, I felt his pain, I'm living with him, watching him go through this. And this process for him was like, through this suicide attempt, was like a call out to God, straight up. He's like, I can't go on living this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, this chaos and he was just lost and living in sin. It's like we were partying and, taking acid and doing shrooms. And like, we were just kind of off our heads at a young age. And after he went to the hospital and recovered himself, he like found God. He became a Jehovah's Witness, straight up. Like, it was the medicine that healed him. And now he has 2 amazing daughters. He's got a lovely wife. He's got a family. They're thriving,
Yeah.
So this story of just utter raw desperation and this cry out for help was something that, eventually it saved his life. And that's what's gnarly.
Do you still keep in touch?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's so cool that something so awful and tragic actually has a happy ending. And it kind of all ties in with all the fans that continue to come up and go, look at my last resort tattoo, or look, the song saved me from anything I was going through. So it's kind of full circle.
Yeah, man. It's preempted us to, now we've been working with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for like the last year and a half.
Oh, cool. That good for
and
you.
We're raising a ton of money for them, and they do such a great work throughout America in all these major cities, helping people. And for me, that's like, how do we use our music for positive change? How do we use our platform to speak to people in need? How do we use this thing to not just, because the music business has afforded us such a great life. It's like, how do we give back? And so, we're doing that now. And I think it's awesome. Just these full circle moments that we're talking about that just give, the depth to this song. And, just the life and the breath and the influence of this music and the positivity that it's brought in just a little blip, right? Just our little way, right? It's just cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I would bet the farm that if I were to go back 20 years ago, I wouldn't probably have the same Jacoby sitting in front of me. I know 20 years ago, I didn't have enough time under my belt not only in life, but with the band to really appreciate it. Now it's like, the level of appreciation is just off the charts, a whole different thing. Chorus 2 comes right off the heels of verse 2, same lyric and same basic instrumentation as chorus 1. And then we get into what could be looked at as a bridge. I'm calling it the post-chorus because it happens later in the song. Nothing's all right. Nothing is fine. I'm running and I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm crying. On those last 4 I'm cryings, we get the first harmony in the song. Do you remember you remember that being talked about? It's like perfect.
Harmonies? I don't do those. For real. Still, I'm like, harmonies? That's for my guitar player.
That's so funny. I had Mark McGrath on the show a couple of years ago, and we were talking about, the first time he went in the studio, they had Pro Tools, and he's like, I can't sing like that. And the producer's like, don't worry, I'll fix it, Which isn't the greatest thing to hear as a young singer. But yeah, a lot of these guys, it's like, harmony, what are you talking about? I'm just some guy that I'm screaming in a punk band, or you have the kind of delivery that you have. And that's why, again, I gave you props earlier about being able to sing. Because a lot of guys, hey, this is my one style, they have a hard time doing something else. But the harmonies are perfect here. Right after this part, we get an 8-bar re-intro, like the top of the song. That choppy staccato groove happens again, and we get it whispered. I can't go on living this way. This whisper, did you do it off the cuff? Was it part of the song? Because again, it's become another hook in the tune, a huge hook.
So it didn't really become part of the song live until we got into the studio, and I was like trying to figure out how to perform this part. And whenever I would do my screams in the studio, I would layer my screams with a whisper, like a whisper scream behind it to kind of add some extra air, like top end to them.
I've never heard of that. That's cool.
Yeah. And the mic you're on right now, the SM7.
Yeah.
That's all I record on. Essentially, whenever I'm recording, I'm always on the SM7. So I cupped the SM7 and we cranked up the
gain on it and probably
the gain and the compression. And I was doing this whisper thing in there, and the guys were like, that's kind of dope, actually. Like, instead of doing like a whole scream part, why don't we just let the dynamic settle back and let this whisper part come through? And it just added, I think, to the intensity and the emotion of this call out. Like, I can't go on living this way.
The whisper sounds desperate in you wouldn't think that a whisper would make something sound heavier, but it's creepy.
Yeah.
Almost like, well, why would you whisper in a song, And it's just, there's something, the delivery's perfect. Right off this part, we get into verse 3.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing. Don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. Would it be wrong? Would it be right? If I took my life tonight, chances are dynamite. Mutilation out of sight, and I contemplate suicide.
The first half of this are the same lyrics as the intro, and then the second half are the same lyrics as the back half of verse 1. I love that. Do you remember that discussion or that happening? It's awesome.
At that point in the song, it's like, there's a lot of lyrics, right? These two verses, that's a lot of lyrics coming at you. And I just felt, I'm like, there's enough information. Like if I just keep going and going and going, it's just, where does it go, right? And I felt like it was like, how do I hammer this in? Because it's a very interesting arrangement of a song.
It is.
It's before we understood like the craft of songwriting, right? And I think that sometimes that can pollute a band of having too much knowledge, you know? And I think we knew just enough, but not too much at that time. And I think that it's that challenge for us now as we write songs. It's like, all right, don't try to be too clever.
Oh.
Don't forget to dumb it down. You know, don't be too clever all the time.
Do you know how many times I've had this conversation with guys on this show and gals? It's amazing. I can't even count because it is so true. I'm the guiltiest party of getting in my own way. I have this great idea, and it's just like, well, why'd you put that? Well, you know, I thought it was cool. No. It's just, it's too much, you know? And I think there's an art to being able to strip away and be okay with the foundation as long as it's rocking. The first half of verse 3, it's just drums, bass, and the stereo rhythm guitars. And on the back half, the rhythms drop out and the stereo guitars are now the lead riff along with the bass and drums like the top. I love that. You could have had those stereo guitars, the rhythms barking back there with the lick. It would have been fine. But I love the purity of the band. You're just a 4-piece. I love that.
I think part of that too, like, was very intentional in the fact that we were just a 4-piece. It's like, all right, we have the tools in the studio to be able to like layer all these elements and do that. But we're in the back of our heads, we were always like, we got to go out and perform this live. So we can't embellish this thing over the top too much. And so when we got out and performed it as a 4-piece, it comes across, you know,
it does.
It doesn't feel lacking as a 4.
Well, and you know, with one guitarist, when the rhythm drops out, a lot of times it'll sound naked and hollow, but definitely is not the case here. And going back to what you were talking about a moment ago, you know, when you look at hip hop rap artists, the choruses are always 1 or 2 lines of hit you over the head with the hook because they've given you 8 pages of stories a lot of times. And as you said, to your point, there's a lot going on here in the verses. So the choruses, you got to hit them over the head, which is what you did. We get post-chorus 2 coming off of chorus 3 here. Nothing's all right. Nothing is fine. I'm running and I'm crying. We get another harmony on crying there. And then the whisper line comes back in, but it's not whispered. Now it's a full-on screaming assault here. I can't go on living this way.
'Cause I'm losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. Losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine. Nothing's alright. Nothing is fine. I'm running and I'm crying.
And then we get this outro, like this coda of the song. Can we talk about that a little bit? It's really intense, and it's really, it's the one part of the song that is not simple. You know, the rest of the songs, you know, it's not doing a lot musically. It's a killer groove. You know, you're shining, you're doing a ton of stuff, but man, the musicality here, the drumming, everything at the end here. Was this written as is, or when you were working with Jay, did he say we need an ending, or who thought of this? It's awesome.
This ending had always been on as part of the song. And, you know, as we're building this from the third verse into the third chorus into this screaming part, it's like, all right, now I'm screaming. Where do you go from here at this point of the song? Like, the intensity's here. What's the exclamation point of this song? And I just remember when the band was in there jamming and they started coming up with this part, I was just like, it was perplexing to me. I'm like, how am I supposed to sing on top of this? You guys are flipping the rhythms on their head. and down, bow, bow, gow, down, bow, down, gow, down. It's like that one was a gift from the rock gods, brother. Straight up.
I'm gonna trip you out. I've asked this question before. If the song just ends with "I can't go on living this way," screaming it, and the band just ends, it doesn't have this other part. Is it still a hit? Are we still here talking about it 20 years later? Does it still have 1 billion plays on Spotify? 1 billion, by the way. We haven't talked about that yet. 1 billion Spotify plays. Congratulations, man.
That blows my freaking mind. And to speak on what you were saying earlier, I have no idea if the song would be a hit or not if that ending was on it. But I got to tell you that it's like the cherry on top of that song, in my opinion.
It is. It is.
It's funny because we've come up with a version of the song that we do acoustic sometimes, like for events and stuff like that at a radio station or whatnot, or promo stuff. And a few times over, we've totally beefed that part at the end when we're playing it acoustic because there's no drums there. And I'm like, I found myself, in front of a radio station audience, and we're playing out. I'm like, well, we just shit the bed on that. Sorry, guys.
That's always fun. 7 a.m. You don't want to be there to begin with, but you have to. They're spinning our song. Oh, okay.
It is the business we call show, brother.
Exactly. Well, the lyric here at the very end of this outro is "Can't go on living this way. Nothing's all right." And the octave guitar, man, the octave guitar here is playing the melody in unison with the vocal on the whole outro. I never noticed that listening to this song, how many times I have in my life. And then "Nothing's all right." Right is screamed by you, and the band ends all at once. 1 billion Spotify plays. I got to witness this thing live 24 years after the fact last summer. Yeah. I'll say it again. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I'm just, it's one of those, it's a gift that keeps on giving, more ways than one, man. And it's one of those songs that's given us an opportunity to have a rock and roll career straight up. Like I will never deny the fact of that, and the impact and influence of it. I'm grateful. I'm just straight grateful.
I love it, and I can tell you are, man. It's very, very cool. Your last record was 2022's Ego Trip, and I spoke to you last week or whenever we talked, and you said you're in LA working on new demos as we speak. And what's going on with the band? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, man. So we just intermittently through the beginning of this year, we've just been coming down to LA and writing a bunch of new music, and we're also essentially conceptualizing what we're going to do with our record label, because we have a record label now. We just Ego Trip was our first release on it, and had 4 number 1s off of that album at Rock Radio, which blows my freaking mind. And we got a song that right now, Leave a Light On, that we're actually crossing over to like adult contemporary radio and pop radio, which is like a whole new territory for us, because we're just that's a new world. But creating a bunch of new music, which I'm very excited about. We just wrote this one yesterday that just it's like an onslaught. The tempo, it's like super upbeat tempo and exciting music. And so the band it's inspired. We're still inspired, and
good.
We're looking for, potentially to sign an artist in the next year to our label, New Noise. And that's going to be an exciting feat in itself. And, just creating new pieces of music so we can go do this damn thing again in 2025. Let's go.
There you go. And hey, one last thing before we wrap up. Are you going to capitalize on the 25-year anniversary next year of Infest?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We got some really cool things. We have a book. We finished up a book to celebrate it. And it's told from the perspective of all the OG band members. Ron Handler, the A&R, Jeffrey Weiss, the guy who signed us that eventually we got dropped. Brian from Sinister Gates from Avenged Sevenfold has a chapter. It's told from a ton of different perspectives. And so we got that coming with it. We have a bunch of reimaginations of our OG songs that we're completing and packaging together. And so we're going to have a dope 25-year kind of anniversary piece and celebration of this. I don't want to go do a full tour. We're going to go do a few nights here, some real big special things, but not necessarily like the full, let's go do a whole tour, celebrate this thing. Cause we have so much new music that we're so proud of as well. So it's like, how do you do both? And so 2025 is going to be an exciting, fun year, you know, celebrating the new and, you know, celebrating the old. And as I sit here, even talking about that, I'm like, is this real life? Is this really happening? It's exciting.
That's awesome. Hey, buddy, thank you so much for being on today. It means a lot.
For real, Chris. Thanks for having me, man. I'm so glad we finally put this together, and congrats on the success with the podcast too, because you know you out there killing it, boy, in more ways than one.
Appreciate it, my friend.
It's not like me to worry, but when I see you fading in the dark, I'll leave a light on for you. Through the long nights, I will be right there for you. If you drift too far, I'll leave a light on for you.
Hey everybody, the song you're hearing right now is Papa Roach's new single, Leave a Light On. And I thought that episode was incredible. I can't wait to talk to Chris about it. I think Jacoby is super cool. And I loved hearing the story behind such an iconic song. Don't go anywhere. We got lots more Chris DeMakes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
You tell yourself no one wants your college-era band tees. But on Depop, people are searching for exactly what you've got. You once paid a small fortune for them at merch stands. Now, a teenager who calls them vintage will offer that same small fortune back. Sell them easily on Depop. Just snap a few photos and we'll take care of the rest. Who knew your questionable music taste would be a money-making machine? Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
Where is Daredevil? I'm right here.
Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
We're gonna take this city back.
Over medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
Lowe's has the brands pros trust to get the job done. You can now shop new Catalyst fencing solutions and save big when you do. 10% off when you buy in bulk. Plus, save $180 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding compound miter saw. Now just $449. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/6 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hey everybody, Satan here. I know what you're thinking. Jesus Christ, Satan has a podcast now too? No, that's not it. But I am here to tell you about a podcast, and it's one that's all about my favorite band, Punchline. Not the band you expected me to say, right? You probably figured I'd like Slayer, or maybe some backwards Beatles records or something. Those are okay. But you usually find me rocking out to fan-favorite Punchline albums like Action or Lion while I'm torturing dead people for all of eternity. Punchline's podcast is called A Band Called Punchline, and it's super entertaining to listen to this documentary-style look back at the 25 years of my favorite band. Honestly, I'm really feeling like I'm getting to know these guys, and their story is amazing. I'm so ready for them to get down here. I have so many questions. I gotta give them credit for catching on to my whole 37 thing, too. There's a reason why they're my favorite band, and if you listen to their podcast, they might become yours, too. A Band Called Punchline is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Check it out, and I'll see you all in hell.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is Tides, a punk rock band from Jacksonville, Florida, for fans of Hot Water Music, Sam I Am, and Strike Anywhere. You can find them online at Tides Band FL. Here's a snippet of their song, Forever is Measured.
Forever was the lie that we told to each other, and I never wanted more than this with your hands on mine. In the burned out nights in the summer of '89, where I found myself on the back county ceiling tiles.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
Chris, we do a lot of episodes of this show. Sometimes I think that maybe half our listeners know the song ahead of time, sometimes more than half. I think that 100% of our listeners and anyone who hears this knows this song. Would you agree?
Yeah, unless you're living under a huge rock, how could you not have heard this song? Billion Spotify streams. I can't even fathom what a billion Spotify streams is. It's insane. I love his enthusiasm. I love how grateful he is. Yeah. I know where he's come from. He was a crazy, out of control rocker. He admitted it in the episode, and he got older, he grew up, and he's so appreciative of this breakout, huge, massive song.
Yeah, very humble guy. I told him when we got off, I think this is one of the best episodes ever. I think it was really cool to hear him open up about the song, about how it related to him, how it related to his friend. Great songs come from real things. You know, he even said before that, I used to just write whatever, just make stuff up and write it. And then he had a friend advise him like, hey, you got to write about some real stuff. And look what comes from it. A song that is still just as popular today as it ever was.
Well, and a lot happened to the band. I mean, when they started writing their debut album, they probably started writing it 94, 95, 96. It came out in 97, and I went and listened to a couple tracks of it. I just kind of perused through that, the other night, and just wanted to see where their headspace was at. And man, this band grew a lot. And it wasn't just getting a producer. I followed that demo chain of Last Resort, and that demo that they had, it was a really good demo, but it wasn't a hit yet. Right. And it was nearly identical. If you go listen to it, it's nearly identical. The arrangement, the lyrics, nothing was changed. Everything was there, but they captured some magic with Jay when they re-recorded it for the album.
Yeah. And it was really cool to hear that riff we all know was written on piano and was inspired by the Fugees. I think that is the coolest backstory possible of that riff. It wasn't like you thought. It wasn't Iron Maiden. It wasn't Judas Priest inspired. It was Fugees inspired.
Which, that does blow my mind, but I know I wasn't necessarily wrong in that thinking, because he even said that people over the years are like, yeah, man, I can hear the Maiden. I can hear the metal. It's like, no.
Yeah, no, that's not what it was. I got to say, this song, the year 2000, this song was so strong. That riff was so strong that it was undeniable, even for people like me who may have been a little snobbish at the time, and the world of like heavy rock and stuff I was too punk for that or something. I even liked this song. Everybody liked this song then. It was so undeniable, and it still is.
Yeah, well, and if you want to go see, if you ever get a chance, the band's playing somewhere and you see them play this song, it's just, I had, chills for 3.5 minutes. I watched them at Greenfield Festival last summer in Switzerland. Just went out there by myself to the soundboard, got a good seat and just watched the band set, and they ripped it. I mean, it was a big festival rock concert, huge pyro, backdrops, lights. The band looked great, sounded great. And again, it's not just this song. You could write them off as one-hit wonders. You can't. They had massive songs after this.
They've been prolific. They've released a lot of albums. They've remained an active band. They're not just resting on their laurels of this one song. But man, is it nice to have this song. I can't imagine watching the crowd alone when they play this song, like your experience of watching them. That has to be a sight in itself. I thought it was awesome to hear how Jacoby doesn't seem to have lead singer syndrome. He said he's down in the trenches with the boys. I think that's really cool to hear that. Also, I thought it was amazing. He said they've been working with the American Society for Suicide Prevention. How cool is that to turn your success to try to help a good cause? I wanted to note, Chris, if anyone out there has been struggling or knows someone that's struggling, the American Society for Suicide Prevention can be reached by calling or texting 988 on your phone. Just 3 numbers, 988. So I wanted to note that as well.
There is help out there, and I've told people before, if, I can't imagine that I would be your lifeline, but if you ever have to reach out to somebody and I'm the only one you could think of, hit me up on Instagram at @LessThanChrisD. I'd be happy to try and be somebody of assistance to you. Don't feel like you're alone. But Chris, can't say enough about it. Sometimes when we get done recording, I'm like, man, that might have been the best episode. It's kind of like our new album's the best album, but I really feel like this was one of the best. It was awesome.
Yeah. Cool dude. Really cool dude. I know that I'll put a few clips out there on our Chris DeMakes a Podcast Instagram, which you should go follow that if you don't, because I always put 1 or 2 video clips. But just seeing him, he just seemed really happy and psyched to be talking about a song, very appreciative of this giant song. As I think a lot of people in our experience have been appreciative of their biggest hit, but you hear stories about people out there resenting their biggest hit or whatever, but he was psyched, and you could see it on his face.
Yeah, like he said, it's the gift that keeps on giving. And I'll tell you what we appreciate. If you go to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review, it has to be 5 stars. Don't go there if you don't think we're 5 stars. If we're only 4 stars, don't give the review. But please go there. We've gotten some really great reviews. We're up like 700 reviews. And I asked Chris the other day, I said, what's so important about these reviews? He said, listen, there's no podcast metric outside of people talking about it or, something blows up and goes viral. When you go to Apple Podcasts and you look at a podcast, you can go, oh, this has 700 reviews. This must be something. But if a podcast has been around for 3 or 4 years with 4 reviews, kind of tells you something too.
Right. It's kind of like going to Rotten Tomatoes or something to see how many people left a review of a movie. And if 5 people did, you're like, I'm probably going to skip that one. Can I read you a review that somebody left for us?
I would love that. Read away, Chris. Read away.
So this is from Wiggle Warmer, who said, gave 5 stars and said, I've learned so much. And Wiggle Warmer said, so many great episodes and volumes to learn from it all. I found songs that I have not been able to get out of my head and gotten incredible insight into songs I already loved. A must for any songwriter. If you are at all thinking of listening, get ready for a deep, deep dive. So thanks, Wiggle Warmer. That was a really nice review. And if you think you can top that review, we might even read it at the end here. So just go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. We appreciate it.
Once again, I'm at @LessThanChrisD on Instagram, and Chris Fafalius is at Chris Fafalius. Want to thank Jacoby Shaddix for sitting with us this week, and we'll see you next time.